This is a podcast about one woman's mission to help entrepreneurs and business owners write better business books. Each week, we tackle your writing excuses, because there are excuses too, and help you beat the blank page of doom so that you can write the book that'll grow your life and your business. Now here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
Hello and welcome to the 1000 Authors Show. I'm Vicky Quinn Fraser and I am hiding from Storm Barra right now in my cozy office. Joe is at work, and this week we did not manage to get a new podcast episode recorded, mostly because we were building a loft space, a proper loft space, and then repairing the ceiling after Joe put his foot through it. He was fine. It could have been nasty, but yeah, that happened. Foot through ceiling. So I thought that we would revisit a nerdy episode from August 2020. So I'm reissuing podcast, I think it was podcast 228, and it's all about how to research like a nerd. And I thought that that would be a good topic to visit because if people are thinking about writing a book, January is a pretty good time to start new things, just because we are culturally conditioned to believe that that's a good time to start new things, and you know, it's time of new beginnings, blah blah blah. So if anyone is thinking of embarking on a book writing adventure, you might be in the research stage at the moment, and I thought it would be a good time to share that, because research is fab. It's very important, especially for, not well, it's important for all writing, I think. You need to research everything, but it's also a really handy procrastination tool. So it's like, oh, I just need to do a little bit more research, or, oh, I'm just going to research this. And then before you know it, you suddenly know absolutely everything there is to know about the tasseled wobble gong and nothing at all about the topic that you should have been researching. So this week you can tune in and have a listen to when Joe and I talked about how to research efficiently, effectively, and without disappearing down a wormhole of fascinating but ultimately useless information. So I hope you enjoy this reissued podcast, and we'll be back with a new one next week. Enjoy. So I keep getting asked questions about research, or I was asked the other day, and it kind of came in the form of, I keep getting stuck in a research wormhole.
Okay.
And it occurs to me that people struggle with this, because I have struggled with this in the past. Do you struggle with research wormholes, Joe?
I often find that there's either so much information you can't pass it into something that's useful, or there's no information and you are clearly using the wrong words to find things. And I tend to be one or the other. And too much information is bad, because then you just start wandering off and trying to find more refinement, and then before long you're looking on Reddit or something daft, and it's chaos after that. Yeah. So today we're going to help you to not get sucked into cat videos, or, learning about the inner workings of strawberries because you happen to see a reference when you were looking for information about aviation fuel, for instance. Okay. That's the thing, right? What? Did that happen to you? Well, maybe not that exact thing. Oh, okay. But thank you for ruining my cool story. But you know what it's like? You're researching one thing and then you suddenly find yourself researching something completely unrelated. Yes. Yeah. That was my point. Okay. Thanks. Okay, well, I think we've made it nice and succinctly and not drifted off in any way, shape or form. Okay. So strawberries, right? Strawberries. So when you're writing a book, how do you divide your time effectively between writing and research? Good question. Good question, Vic. Thanks. That wasn't my question. Okay. Thank you. A solid big idea and a decent outline is absolutely crucial. That is a good start. Your outline may change as you write, and that is fine, but you do have to start somewhere. So let's at least get your big idea and the other thing, the things that you're going to talk about in your book. Let's get that nailed down. So that said, I have 7 things to consider to help you research more effectively and efficiently. Okay. So let's run through them, and let's stop me from starting sentences with so. How should we do that? I don't know, like water pistol to the face every time I do it? Thing 1. As you are writing your outline or your notes for your section or chapter or whatever, and this works, by the way, not just for writing books, but for articles and blog posts and things as well. So as you are writing your outline, note down where you need to do more research. So you might already know a bunch of stuff. That's cool. You might have already done some research and you've got it all there. But if you're kind of writing notes for your piece, your article, or your chapter or whatever, and you're like, oh,
I need to do more research on that. Just make a note now of what you need to write. Don't immediately drift off on a research mission.
Because then you never finish your outline and you're short.
Yep. So get that done first.
So do you have like a document somewhere, current things I need to research? Or do you like use a particular color highlighter on the document you're working on? Or how do you kind of file that as research needing doing and then move on?
That's a good question. So I write in Scrivener, but this same applies if you're writing in like Word or Pages or Google Docs or whatever. And if I've got a bit where I'm like, oh, I need more information, I will highlight it, like virtual highlight it, and then drop a comment in and it just says, I need to research blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So that is how I do it. If I'm writing an outline on paper, I'll get my highlighter pen out and just be like, I need to research this, and I'll just kind of stick it in a bullet point or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, be really clear about that. Thing number 2, be really clear on what you need to research. So not just like bees, but for example, how to keep bees from getting parasites in the hive. And not just, I want to know more about headlines, but what are the most compelling words to use in headlines, for example. So be really specific about what you are wanting to research. Because otherwise, you'll just research everything. And
broad topics, no good to you.
Broad topics are no good. So, and this should come out of, so you might be like, oh, I'm writing a chapter on bees, and you think, okay, so I need to research bees. That's kind of fine for before you get your bullet points down for what you want to include in this chapter on bees. But then when you've got your like outline of what
this is like we're talking here about the 10% that you don't know.
Yes.
This isn't your educative learning everything you need to know. This is when you've got 90% of what you need and there's a bit more that you need to research.
Exactly. So yeah, be really clear on what you need to research. Thing number 3, head for your bookshelf before you head for Google. Because that will keep you from disappearing down a wormhole of cat videos. So yeah, head for your bookshelf. Have you got a book on the subject that you want to write about? I bloody hope so, because if you're writing about something within your field of study, I would hope that you have books on that topic. So yeah, go have a look on your bookshelf, find the book that's talking about this topic, and then use the index and the table of contents. Do not read entire chapters, because again, that's like the offline equivalent of getting sucked into a YouTube wormhole. You don't need the entire chapter. So start with the table of contents, and if you've got like a chapter on, beehives, for example, I'm on a bee topic here, beehives, then you still want to know about parasites. So you would then, you might have a quick skim of that chapter, like a super quick skim, as in look at the subheadings. But I would then go to the index and search for the specific word that you want to know about. And just go and have a look at every single one of them. And then get a little sticky note and stick a sticky note on each page that has something useful on it. Don't just be like, oh, I just need to read all of these pages. It might, like, one of them might be a throwaway reference to parasites, for example. But if you've got like a big chunk that's like, oh, this is really useful, then you can just sticky note it. And you might have 2 or 3 of those throughout the book. And then you can come back and you can like pop back and forward between it if you need to. So that was thing number 3. Thing number 4, you are now allowed to go on the internet. So yeah, use Google intelligently. Would you like to join in?
I'm happy to. Ask specific questions. Then limit yourself to page 1 of the search results. Open no more than 3 tabs at once. And if one of them is no good, go back to the search results and get another. Yeah.
So I'm going to explain that a little bit. If you have to go beyond page 1 of the search results, you probably haven't put a particularly good search term in. And I say that as somebody who is really not very good at searching for search terms. I sometimes don't even know what question to ask Google, which is really frustrating. So this does take a bit of practice. Make sure that, again, we're going back to being really specific. Ask a specific question of the internet. If you have to open more than 1 page, then probably you want to go back and refine the question that you're asking Google.
Yes. As an aside, it's worth learning some of the tricks to make Google do the things you want it to do.
Ooh, have you got any tips on that?
Well, like you can search specific sites. So you don't have to say, dear internet, tell me about bee parasites. You can say, dear beekeeping UK, tell me about bee parasites.
You can. Yeah, and you can do that. So you type in like beekeeping UK and then is it colon? And
it's
then
site colon.
Site colon and then?
Site and then the search terms.
Okay.
And then there's things like putting stuff in speech marks and not putting things in speech marks. There's a whole bunch of them. Do your own research, but there's lots of sheets out there that'll tell you how to make Google be more specific than just trawl the whole internet for you.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. Thank you for that. So yeah, once you've got your search results, your page of decent search results, pick the top 3, for example, or have a quick skim, see which ones look like they're going to be the best for you. Open 3 separate tabs and no more than 3 tabs, because otherwise your head will explode. And then have a quick look at what's in those tabs. Have a quick skim of it. Does it look like the information in there is going to be any good? If not, then close it, go back to your search results and open another tab. Once you've got those 3 tabs, then we come to thing number 5.
Okay.
Which is, once you've opened those pages, skim them quickly. Is the information that you need there? Is it well referenced? So the information that you need might be like just mentioned, and then there's a reference to another article or something. If there is a reference to another article, go find the original source.
Yeah.
Don't just quote like ad infinitum of something that's been, changed and Chinese whispered. Go see if you can get to the original source and use the original source, and then close the other tab because you don't need it. So yeah, I'm basically trying to stop you from getting overwhelmed with too many things open on your computer and to research at the same time, because that is a surefire way for me to just not get enough done.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you got anything to add to that?
I would say when you are picking the things off your page 1 of Google, if you're not clear the difference between promoted stuff and unpromoted stuff, then I think that's something you need to know. You need to be able to distinguish between the two. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that promoted stuff isn't worth referencing, because sometimes it will be, but you just need to be aware of it.
You need to be aware of it. You need to be aware of the what are the motives of the person who has put this on the internet for you.
Yeah.
If they're just trying to wrangle some cash out of you, then maybe this is not the article you're looking for.
No. And, that, again, it depends on who you're looking for, because people like me will always aim to put the best information that they can out there, because I want people to have, I don't want to just get cash out of people. I want people to make the best decision for them. And so people who are doing that their information will be fine, but you've got to kind of get to know them a bit first before. Yeah. So like Joe said, there are sites that I will search for specific information about specific topics, and they're people that I trust. So if I was looking for information on habits, the first person that I would go to would be James Clear, because he is like Mr. Habits. He's the habit expert, and his stuff is really good, and he's ethical and all the rest of it. So yeah, that's a really good point as well. I had another thought, then I can't remember what it is. Oh, Wikipedia. If you are really struggling to find information, there is people really slag off Wikipedia. And if you're just going to quote Wikipedia, then that's fair enough. Don't do that. But Wikipedia is one of the reasons Wikipedia is great is because it has lists of references and academic papers and things.
It's a brilliant aggregator.
It's a really good aggregator. So, use Wikipedia. If you're stuck, if Google is not helping you and you can't find what to look for, have a look at Wikipedia. And finally, my final Google tip is you can search for news sources, and also you can search for academic research papers as well, specifically in Google. So if you're looking for academic or scientific research, you can search that. I think there's a tab, isn't there? I need to bloody open it now and have a look. So if you're
this is great radio.
Help me with bees. Okay, so when you've got your results, you've got all, and you can search images, shopping, videos, news. More, we've got maps, books, flights, finance. I'm pretty sure there used to be a research or an academia there, or maybe it depends on what you're searching for. But yeah, news is sometimes good, although it might give you just Rupert Murdoch until your eyes explode. So be careful about that as well. Thing number 6 follows on from thing number 5. Once you've got your browser tabs open, go offline and use your browser in offline mode.
Okay.
Turn Wi-Fi off, because then you can't get distracted. It's like if you've got your research ready and you're like, okay, I've got my research here. One of my big problems is that I'll be like, oh, that looks really interesting. I'll just open that tab and I'll open that tab and I'll open that tab. And then an hour's gone by and I know all about aviation fuel and nothing about strawberries. So I don't really research aviation fuel. And then thing number 7, and this is probably one of the most important things, is set yourself a time limit for your research. So I would say a maximum of 30 to 60 minutes for each topic.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that that's all the research that you're going to do, but for each research session, set yourself like a 30 to 60 minute time limit. And after that, start writing. And then if you still need to do more research after that, that's cool. Make a note of what you need to research and repeat the process that we've just done.
You're going to do specific research rather than more general research, yeah.
Yeah, But basically, I want you to get writing them, because the problem that my client was having was, I keep not writing and just researching. And it's like, when do you know when to stop? And this process will help you know when to stop as well, because you carry on writing until you can't write anymore without doing more research.
Mm-hmm.
And once you don't need to do any more research in one of these little processes that we've just talked about, then that will help. It stops you getting sucked into write research, panic.
Yeah.
So, and then just repeat as appropriate. So have you got any more research tips to add to that?
Oh gosh, no, I kind of gave my all at the Google skills thing. Sorry,
your Google foo is strong.
It's not great, but it does stop you, finding out about bee parasites in the Serengeti when you're actually interested about bee parasites in Kent.
Yeah. So that is my 7 things to help you research effectively and efficiently. 7 things to help you research like a nerd.
I really like the set a time limit, because you're there for a purpose. You're trying to get some information. You're trying to get out and get back to the thing you're really trying to do, which is write your article or your book or whatever. I think that's really important. Otherwise, all of a sudden it's dinner time, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you've just blown an afternoon on God knows what.
This is my pleased face that Joe's like, oh, that's a really good idea. And I'm like, oh, thanks. What's the takeaway, Joe?
Have a plan for researching and have that as strict as you would have a plan for writing.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Thanks so much for listening, superfans. I hope that you enjoyed that reissued podcast. Next week, we will be talking about how long will it take to write a non-fiction book. So you can come and find out the exact answer to that question. I'm just kidding. You probably know there is not an exact answer to that question. But yeah, we thought it would be worth talking about. So come and join us next week. And in the meantime, if you want to build up a writing habit and never run out of things to write about, come and get my freebie gift to you at moxiebooks.co.uk/calendar. I have created a clickable, interactive PDF calendar for December that you can just pop into, click on the date, and it'll take you through to a little article with a writing prompt. The idea is just to get you to set your timer for 5 minutes and just write stuff and do it every day. So you can go and grab that. That is free of charge. As usual, if you've listened to every episode, you can email me with your postal address and I will send you a special gift. And if you like this podcast, please go to iTunes and subscribe, or wherever you get your podcast from. Please go and subscribe because it helps us climb the rankings. And if you could leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast, that would be amazing. If you do leave a review, please send me a link to it, vicky@moxiebooks.co.uk. We'd love to read them out and give you a shout out. Or just share it. If you know somebody who will enjoy this nonsense, send them a link. Send them to moxiebooks.co.uk/podcast. Yeah, so thank you so much for listening. As always, Podfly, thank you for doing your thing. Harriet, thank you for being awesome. And thank you to you, dear listener, without whom we would just be shouting into the void.
Thanks for listening. You can find links and show notes on the website at moxiebooks.co.uk/podcast, where you can also sign up for the best daily emails in the multiverse and find loads of free resources to help you write your book. We'll be back the same time next week with more tales from the book writing trenches and the latest on what the tiny sheeps have been up to.